Alright, Milay, you ready for some puddings? Hey, Chica, I know you see yourself in the camera, but... Ooh, here you go, Chica. Ooh, nice farts. So I got into this kind of little spat with this guy on Instagram the other day. Kind of just like one of those stupid Facebook arguments, but this time it was on Instagram. He made this comment, which I thought was a bit unwarranted, and I didn't say anything right away. I just kind of kept asking him why, letting him take me down the rabbit trail, blah 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 blah. And what he was trying to get at was that we should not show. I mean, he was basically criticizing me for showing Malay's face on camera and social media, but he cited, I don't know, long-term effects of social media on a child's development, excuse me. And he was talking about, I don't know, he thought that they would have I don't know, mental issues from having their privacy violated over the course of time. I just found it kind of interesting. I don't agree with him in any way, shape, or form, and I told him that. And it kind of reminds me of one other. Just before I get into why I don't agree, you want water, Chica? Agua. Before I get into why I don't agree with him, I have to say there's kind of a similar issue in terms of my mind. I saw this post on Facebook, and there's a friend of mine who was talking about how they wouldn't let if their kid didn't want to hug a relative, for example. They would say, a relative wanted a hug. They would say, yeah, no, the child needs to learn that that's their body, and that they're trying to make the argument that that's the root of the problem of rape culture, is that women especially are taught from a very young age that they have to give hugs to people they feel uncomfortable with, for example. And I had to lay into them a little bit. Because I mean, okay, I totally get it. Yeah, your body is your body, and as a dad to a little girl, I have to teach her that. But at the same time, so your job as a parent is to keep your child safe, right? But equally, your job as a parent is to teach your child not to be a little brat, and it's to teach your child that things don't always go their way. To teach your child how to function in normal human society, not this, conspiracy theorist society. In terms of the not giving a hug to people you feel uncomfortable with, giving a hug to, the child's a child. Okay, I'm not going to make my child hug someone I suspect of being a rapist, but if grandma wants a hug and Malaya doesn't want to give her a hug, too bad. You know what I mean? Malaya needs to learn that she doesn't always get everything that she wants, first of all. And she needs to learn that hugs are a normal part of everyday society, especially within a family. And that does not mean that her body is not hers. That just means that she needs to give her family members a hug if they want one. That's just part of functioning in society. The same thing with the social media thing. First of all, she's not the one using social media. She's not going to have any long-term social media effects. This is what I told the guy. She's not going to have any long-term effects. Hey, Chica. Oh, you want more water? Long-term, emotional problems because, she's using social media at such an early age, because she's not using social media at an early age. I am. And the thing is about the privacy concerns, mental issues, I have no idea, but the thing is that if you're in public, anybody can take a picture of you anytime and post it on social media. You have no protection. And I don't know what kind of world that I would be raising Malaya into, or be teaching her exists, if I told her that anytime you don't want your face to show, it doesn't have to be shown. Because that's just not reality. What I feel like this guy is teaching his kids is that social media equals bad. My parents, raised me to think that technology was a bad thing and that you have to be careful about every little thing that you do. I would never have learned. I would never have tried it for myself. If my parents had taught me of the dangers of everything and had not let me do anything for myself, I would not have learned that social media is something that you can build a business on, for example. Hey, Chica. I would have been too afraid of every little thing to actually do anything. If I was concerned about, if I had privacy concerns like at every turn, then it's too difficult to actually make any moves. If I was scared that somebody, I don't know what this guy's scared of, but he said like, it's so funny, but it just sounds ridiculous when they say it back. He said something like there might be a picture of her somewhere on the internet that is in the wrong context, and she gets, it gets taken out of context or something like that for something damaging in the future. And I'm thinking to myself, mate, she's 9 months old. Like, what kind of context could possibly be put in? And the thing is if you have that mentality, if you're so forward thinking that you're thinking, oh, 20 years down the road, this could come back to haunt me if somebody just digs it up and puts it in the wrong context. I mean, you're going to be afraid of absolutely everything. And that's just no way to live life. That's no way to teach your kids to live life, because they are developing their preferences as you raise them. And Malaya is very, she can't talk yet. She doesn't know whether or not she wants her face on social media, because she has no idea what that is. But she's very open and loving, and I don't think she would have any problem with it. Yeah, Chica? Furthermore, like I said before, you're developing your child's preferences. So if you say something like, you have to wait to put, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? If you want to wait until your child is old enough to tell you whether or not they want their face on social media, to actually put their face on social media, by that time you've already raised them to not want to. I mean, you're developing those preferences. You've already made them scared of social media, saying that putting your face on Facebook or on Instagram is going to put you in danger sometime in the future. If you put it in that context, the child's going to say, yeah, of course I don't want to. Of course I don't want to be on social media, and then they never learn to utilize it for the benefit. Instead, I think that we should be teaching our kids to be responsible with what they do. Help them make their own decisions. That doesn't mean, just saying, oh, it's social media. Yeah, okay, Facebook can be dangerous, but so can walking across the street. You know what I mean? And maybe that's a stupid comparison, but the thing is that every single thing that I've ever done, traveled, gotten married, moved across the world, had a baby, every single thing that I've done, I've had no idea how I was gonna get there, But it just happens because you take the next step, and because you're taking the next step, you can kind of make it up as you go, and as long as you have this kind of vision in mind, there's really no wrong direction. But as soon as you start saying blah, 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 as soon as you start ruling things out because you're afraid of their repercussions sometime 10 years down the road, not only are you limiting yourself, but you're limiting your kids who you're raising to follow in your footsteps, to be afraid of whatever it is. I want to raise Malaya not to have any fears of some decision. Obviously, decisions always have repercussions. There are always consequences for everything that you do, whether good or bad. But the thing is we get into this mentality where we're afraid of everything because of some really microscopic consequence, when the payoff is enormous. I mean, if I hadn't traveled, if I hadn't taken the risk... I know, it's crazy, isn't it? You want more water? In my journey, we'll call it my journey to discovering myself, I went into some of the most dangerous places in the world, and I could have been killed, I could have been mugged, I could have been this, could have been that. I think that whatever I did in that time of my life was a lot more dangerous than whatever privacy things I have set on social media. But I had to do it to become who I am today, and if I hadn't done it, I probably would never have met Deborah. Malaya never would have been born. I never would have moved out of the United States. And I would be probably a completely different person. This life that I have now is a life of discovery. It's a life that I've developed over learning. Leaving your comfort zone is more of a life of ignorance, I suppose. And I'm not trying to say that everyone who lives that life is ignorant. I don't want to raise Malai to be afraid of anything. I don't want to raise her to be, like thinking too much about every little detail. If you're trying to build a business, for example, this is what entrepreneurs constantly say. They say, if I had known what it was going to take, I never would have done it. And as soon as you start thinking about every little detail, it becomes an insurmountable task. Everything, not just building a business, but anything worth doing. Where did the bottle go? There it is. There you go. As soon as you start doing anything, and so this isn't just about social media, this is an entire mentality. Yeah, you love your water bottle, don't you? You're not sure that you love the water coming out of it, though. As soon as you want to do anything worth actually talking about, whether it's traveling, building a business, building a relationship, if you think about the individual tasks, if you think about the individual consequences of every action, it becomes an insurmountable task. And so I want to raise Malai with this mentality that we are always developing and we are always reaching for some goal. And we're not. We can consider the individual consequences, but we shouldn't dwell on them too much. We should weigh the consequences and the payoff, because the thing is that he's not doing is that he's not weighing the payoff. No, I know. It's crazy, isn't it?